Hello everybody, welcome to Localite. Today we are talking with Samantha Irwin. She owns the Balch Hotel out in Dufur, a little off the beaten path, but definitely worth the drive over there, and really a unique place and got quite a bit of history, so we're going to learn all about it. So Samantha, thank you for coming on. It's good to see you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I want to jump right into it. Let's talk about the beginning. When the hotel first opened, I understand, well actually I guess when electricity first came to Dufur, the hotel and the lumber mill were the only two places that had electricity, and they didn't both have electricity at the same time. What was that about?
They didn't. They shared it.
Okay.
And so the hotel and the lumber mill were the first places to ever have electricity in Dufur, and they shared it. So 12 hours during the day, the lumber mill had it, and then 12 hours at night, the hotel got it. Okay.
And so how did that work? I mean, how was that monitored, or do you know?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I imagine that they had a switch and they flipped it somewhere or something.
Yeah. Because it'd be like, it's 11 and a half hours. Let's go ahead and take some of it,
I'm sure that the people at the mill worked pretty much by the daylight or, the electricity. So they were probably watching the clock and said, okay, time's up, like the noon whistle kind of thing. That's my guess. My guess is that the people on the mill were the ones that really made sure that 12 hours it's off.
Yeah. Well, and then somebody came in or something and brought you the original power meter or something? What was that about?
Actually, Pat and Howard Green, who owned the hotel 20 years prior to my husband and I purchasing it in 2006, they had a friend who, I think he was an electrician for many years. And there's a place on the second floor where there's a panel, and there was this missing piece of equipment. And he, having done electrician's work for so long, he knew what it was and knew what to look for. And so he was, I guess the story that Howard Green tells me is this guy was out scouring in these old, graveyards basically for electrical equipment, and he found it. And one day he walks in, and Howard tells me that, and I've met this man now, that he was walking in and he had this black thing in front of him, and he walked in and he was really excited, like, I have it. And Howard was thinking, what do you have?
Was there a plane wreck? What's this, a black box?
What is this thing? and it's about this, this big, and it has the little meter on the front, and it fits perfectly. So it's on the second floor. It's like an original electric meter for the hotel.
So it's there now?
Yeah, people can go up and see it.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
So obviously it's not keeping track of anything. No. Just for looks.
Yeah, the little wires that go in, they can come right back out.
Okay.
We are up to code.
Up to code, yeah. You're like, make sure and get that on the record. So who actually built the hotel, when, and why Dufur?
Charles P. I think it's P. Balch.
Okay.
It's the same family that owns the Balch House in Beverly, Massachusetts, which is the oldest, if I get this right, the oldest known, I think, stick-built building in the United States.
Really?
I think that's correct. And
wow.
Who knows between the East Coast and the West Coast if that's quite, but I believe that's correct. But it's the same family that came out. There was brothers that came out. Charlie, they call him Charlie from what I read, and I think he was kind of a character. So Charles P. Balch was the person who built the hotel, but actually the Dufur family owned all the property, and I think it's interesting, at that time a woman owned the property, a Balch.
Really? Full circle.
Yeah, it's kind of neat.
Yeah.
And so, of course, that's just not that common in
Especially
the 1900s.
Exactly.
And so when they got married, then of course it became I've seen pictures that say the Balch Hotel, that say Dufur Hotel, and they say Balch House during different time periods in history. So it was built in 1907, and I believe it was around 1911 when the apple orchard started. There was this huge, at one point it was the largest apple orchard in the world, was in Dufur Valley.
Really?
Yep. Half of it went in 11, and half of it went in 1912, I believe.
Okay.
And it was a little speculation, and it was operating. I have read some interesting facts about how much apples that they produced, but that's pretty dry out there.
Yeah.
So as it seemed like it was a little bit of a flash in the pan.
Yeah, it didn't last too long.
It didn't really last very long. So, and the Great Southern Railroad, one of it terminated in Friend, but one of the big terminus it stopped.
One of the stops
in Dufur. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's some neat pictures about right there where the grain silos are, and so the Balch Hotel we've heard was built, partially because of the railroad, partially because of the apple orchards, and it was a great stopping place from people who would come from Friend and Wapanisha on their way to the Dalles. It wasn't a fast trip. Like now it's 13 miles, but it took a long time back then. 1907.
It was it was a real trip back then.
Yeah.
What were rooms back then? What did they cost?
They cost between, let's see, I believe it was $0.25 and $1.25 a room. I know. And they boasted steam heat, hot and cold running water, and something else I can't remember. Steam heat,
HBO
hot
maybe?
And cold.
No.
Yeah, really, HBO. No TVs, no phones, no radio.
Yeah.
So that's how much they cost back then. A little bit more now.
Yeah, a little more than that. Well, you got to make a profit, A
little bit.
Yeah. But those walls, I mean, they're like 18 inches thick or something. So that must help. Was it done that way by design? So it would be, because it is a little bit, in that the climate's a little different than right here in the, right in the gorge. Yeah. So does it help keep it warmer in the winter and cooler in the summer?
It's actually, if you go down in the basement, it's an amazing building. You go down the basement, it's actually built on bedrock. So on the south side of the building, where we were doing some planting, we hit bedrock and we had to redesign the patio. And then you go down to the north on the property and it heads down to the stream, and it's very, it's a lot deeper.
Sure.
So, but in the basement, you can see the brick is built on bedrock, and it's really, really, it's beautiful to look at. And the 18-inch walls, boy, my husband would know these numbers. It's a different, each first, second, and third story aren't the same width. But,
really?
He's the numbers man. I'm not.
Yeah.
But maybe it's 18, 12, and 6. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But they're different. And so it's really, it stays pretty even temperature.
Great.
Pretty even temperature.
Well, it sounds like it's definitely built to stay. So we'll find out some more about the Historic Balch Hotel when we come back from this break. So you guys don't go anywhere. Stay with us. We have Samantha Irwin of the Balch Hotel.